Welcome to the Cups of Consciousness show. I am Aleya Dao, your host. I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, a sound healer, the author and founder of the 7 Cups of Consciousness. I have produced 9 sound healing albums and have recorded over 2,000 meditations online. I am an energy practitioner and help people shift their consciousness using their energetic fields. And this show is all about using your energetic fields to shift your consciousness, as well as exploring energetic concepts that help you create a more empowered and connected life. This episode is an energetic session that explores concepts, energetic practices, and protocols that are similar to a prayer, which help you transform particular aspects of your life. When you listen, recognize that some part of you is using your energetic fields to shift your vibration, which in turn shifts your consciousness, your behaviors, your beliefs, how you react and respond. You might even go into an altered state, so use caution if you're driving or doing something that requires a focused mind. With all of this work that I present, remember that it is your energy shifting you in your own unique way. That way you stay in control and empower with your process. So take a deep breath in, pull yourself into your line of light, and explore your inner terrain in a safe and supported space. Let's dive in. Welcome to the very first podcast with the practitioners and me, Aleya Dao. We are going to be answering specific questions that our audience has shared with us, and each practitioner has particular gifts, wisdom, mastery, and insights, and they're going to share their perspective around the questions that have come through prior to the podcast today that you all submitted. And if you have questions as well that arise during the podcast, we invite you to share that live in the chat room. Whenever we are talking about energetic aspects, we always want to create a safe space. So I'm going to invite all of us to just take a few deep breaths, to use the inhale to pull yourself into this present breath of now, to use your exhale to ground and anchor into this present moment, to call upon your guides, your advisors, your teams, beings of love and light to encircle you in this safe and sacred space. Just take a moment to use your imagination, which gives you access to another dimension, to perceive these beings of love and light encircling you, buffering you, inviting that energetic aspect of you to connect to your own healing source, your own spiritual power, your divine spark, feeling that vertical hookup, and calling in your own unique sacred shapes, sounds, and light that have the capacity to support you from a place of clarity, discernment, balance, grace, and ease. And any other intentions you wish to bring in for yourself. Anchoring these intentions in the fields. And I just want to take a moment to introduce all of you, our listeners, to our practitioners. So these practitioners that are in the podcast today, each one of you practitioners I have worked with for years, and you also have a profile that's usually active on aleyadao.com where people can book sessions with you, and your unique insight, your courage, your determination, your curiosity gives you a perspective that is unique. And whenever we have a challenge in our life, we want to recognize that each one of our perspectives is valid. And so today we're going to be looking at particular aspects, and you get to share your insights that other people might not have seen, that we might not have ever explored. And as soon as our energy fields can track where something's coming from, recognize that our energetic self might actually start to resolve it with that awareness of, oh, it's possible that this is coming from this area of your life or from an ancestor or empathic. And I'd love to start off the podcast with the first question, which is about protection. And I'm just going to briefly read the question that came through regarding protection. And it is and Laurie, I'm actually going to have you start with what is protection. And I'm going to clarify what is energetic protection. We know what physical protection is. And what should we be protecting ourselves against?
Thanks, Aleya. Hi, everyone. It's so much fun. So good to be here. It's really cool to hear your ponderings and these questions. In terms of protection, a couple things came in as I pondered that question. And the first one is to always make sure that you come back to yourself, that you bring all your energy and awareness into your divine line, and that you remember you are safe inside. We are safe inside. Connecting to your divine spark in the very heart of source and amplifying that knowing of safety inside. And then checking in and making sure that you're not sending your energy out and attaching little attachment nuggets on others. And because then we bring in those energies. And so just taking a moment to retrieve those attachments and send back anything that you may have taken on that does not belong to you. And then also making sure that you aren't making another person responsible for you feeling a certain way. So really looking at that, maybe it's connection, maybe it's feeling a sense of value, whatever it might be, but checking in about that and making sure that if you are doing that, that you retrieve that responsibility up and off that person, back to yourself, amplify that frequency within yourself. So it doesn't matter what's going on out here, is you're good in here. And lastly, what came through is, of course, we have absolutely amazing guides and beings of love and light who are here to support us, to model for us. So, of course, always check in there too.
Beautiful.
That's what I got.
Laurie, that's brilliant. Really good. And that last piece is something that I often forget. I think we a lot forget that we have that presence around us that can be such an incredible protector layer. But there's another in that question, what should we be protecting ourselves against? Any reflections on that for you, Laurie, or anyone?
Feel free, anybody, to jump in. I'm going to ponder.
I think Nina too, you had said.
I can answer that. So we're protecting ourselves from like energetic attack, and that can be in dream time where we're more vulnerable, or just in another dimension. And when that happens, it's like we could be holding a fragment of that person or attached and holding responsibility for them, and they're attacking us to get it back. So the more we are not, return that fragments, return that responsibility, maybe before you go to sleep at night, and and bringing all your shields, your protection, like your magical cloak back on you before you go to bed. Let me think if there's any other layer. And the advance for future protection. I remember that question too. I'll just throw that out there while I'm on the subject. It's like how to invite like something happening in the future from preventing that. And when I think of that, I think like, okay, if it's just a week out, maybe I can invite myself from the future where I have the information to send it back to me. Is there anything I need to be mindful for this coming up week? Or I could have my guides or nature spirits surround me and hold in that protection inside themselves, positively, empathically impacting me. So I'm like more protected, got my bubble on before I walk out in a day, and then you just feel it. And the more you witness it and value it and embrace it, the stronger it comes.
Beautiful. Nina,
Yeah.
so good. So good. And on that layer, and actually I want to take a minute. Anybody else have any thoughts around protection, what we should protect against? Jenna?
Yeah. Hey. Hi, everybody. I'm Jenna. The other thought that came up is even less than attack, but just attachment. So this work is really potent, and, we work with light, and I think people can be really attracted to that and see a difference, like, what have they got going on? And there can be a little bit of crossing boundaries in that curiosity. And so I really hold modeling. So, like, anchoring, what I've got going on in my divine line. And I even have talked through, I used to do this with my son all the time, like a bubble meditation. And so picturing like our energetic space and arm's length all around us, and nobody gets to go into that space.
Beautiful.
And that is our little bubble of light, and we can model what other people might be curious about within that bubble without letting it seep out.
Excellent. Thank you, Jenna. Winslow, did you have a piece? Are you good? Okay. So on that piece around protection, we're just going to naturally seam into a question around boundaries. And Nina, I think you had an insight around the boundaries, right? Of how can we set appropriate boundaries?
Actually,
I think I did.
Okay.
yes.
Winslow. You guys are getting the raw and the real. So Winslow, I'm just going to quickly do the question, and then Winslow, you can dive into it. So somebody asked a question: how can I set appropriate boundaries or create better harmony with someone who is in constant direct contact with spirits and their guides? They take it upon themselves to follow that guidance without a need to explain it to me, even when it involves controlling something that I own.
So there are a lot of different pieces with boundaries. And the one that came through for me first was that feeling that to pay attention to the emotions that come up when your boundary is crossed. And you may feel disrespected and angry and a lot of different emotions, but disrespect stuck out to me because that's one that I've also experienced when my boundaries have been crossed or someone hasn't respected my boundaries. And so with respect and boundaries, it's tricky, but we have to retrieve responsibility and to retrieve responsibility and our reference points for respect off of the other people, off of that person, and hold that in our divine line so that we're holding responsibility for respecting a positive quality that flows within us. And so maybe even the first step would be to think about what is a positive quality that you value, an energy that you love. And maybe that's kindness or curiosity or freedom or integrity. That means that is flowing within you. And so you get to respect that more and more and more. And then the more you respect your inner light, yourself, that then will reflect into the outer world. People will respect you to the degree that you're respecting yourself. And that's a tricky one. I think we're all working on that for our whole life. So any other boundaries? That's one of many pieces with boundaries.
Really great. Beautiful. And on that layer, it's interesting when we hold boundaries, we sometimes have a perception of if I have really strong boundaries, then I'll be disconnected and then I'll feel lonely. And there was a question actually about loneliness that I'd love to hand to Pilar. And it was, I would love to overcome my sense of loneliness and grief that I live with and raise my vibration to joy, love, peace, and connection. Pilar, do you have any reflections that you would like to share with our listeners around that piece with connection, grief, loneliness?
Yes. Every time that we experience grief or sense of loneliness, it's a perception of disconnection. But in fact, we are all connected at all times, and we are surrounded and protected. But to increase that awareness, it's important that we feel that the connection is inside, deeply inside of us, and that we can connect with our divine spark, with the beings of love and light that surround us, the teams. and with our soul rider and our body deva. So we really have a whole crew all the time, and we just don't see it sometimes. So we are so clouded by circumstances. So in order to cultivate that relationship is like to develop a practice of connecting, getting inside, and trying to connect with that light and ask the guides to work with us to increase the vibrations of love, joy, connection, peace. And in that way, the reality is going to reflect back to you what you are cultivating inside.
Pilar, you just had a really interesting insight. And you were talking about like the guides, of inviting the guides to encircle you and hold these supportive energies. And sometimes the sense of loneliness and disconnection and maybe even grief is empathic. And we're actually feeling our team and our guides wanting to be more connected to us. And so when you said, oh, invite your guides to hold these supportive energies, I felt this shift in, oh, we're asking our team and our guides to amplify connection inside themselves. And then we stop feeling that empathic grief or loneliness. Really cool. Michelle, there was a question about biting nails.
Yes.
You want to dive into that?
Sure. Hi, everyone. When I was pondering this question and the body deva kind of being in a state of anxiety or fear that might be coming up, and so then there's this biting of the nails. And again, pondering this, I heard body deva is wanting more connection to herself and is feeling this place where she's hurting herself, and in that place is the wanting more self-love, wanting this place of being in that more connection with self. And I saw the biting of the nails kind of like the physical aspect of the self-critic. And so when the body goes into that self-critic state, then it will start to bite the nails. And whenever we have a discordant thought form or emotion or physical expression, a behavior, it's always the indication that more awareness is being invited. And so with body deva and the biting the nails, the body deva is again wanting to bring awareness to, I'm not feeling safe, I'm not feeling connected, I'm not feeling like I'm worthy. And so when then the biting of the nails happens, then there's this, oh, see how I'm not worthy, see how I'm hurting myself, and I'm not very beautiful, or I don't want to see myself, again, this self-critic place. And so inviting the body deva, so you soul rider, inviting body deva to connect to a vibration that the body is really wanting to amplify, to bring that aspect of self-love. So whenever we're desiring self-love, again, the opposite will be that critic place. So you want to say, okay, body deva, what is it that you're really wanting to cultivate more within yourself, to love yourself more? And the more that happens, especially if you find yourself in that place of biting the nails, go, oh, body deva, you're after wanting to love yourself more. So what quality can you connect to amplify that within yourself, to bring that worthiness so that you're in that place with yourself, feeling worthy with that connection to that vibration, rather than having the behavior of the biting the nails. Okay. So that came through.
And if you're in the chat room the live participant who asked that question. If you have any other reflections or questions for Michelle, just feel free to share that in the chat room with that piece around the body deva, all those insights that you just had, Michelle. Really good. I'm actually we're going to just open it up and take a deep breath. This is our first podcast, so we're all excited, maybe a little nervous. Does anybody feel into the question that they were pondering that they want to dive into?
There was a question that I was pondering. Hi, I'm Astarah. Hey, hi, everybody. This is so awesome to be here. And it seems like a really simple question, so we'll see what comes through, but it's about listening to meditations more than once. And the person who asked this question, it was like, I listen to the meditations and I go to sleep. That's okay, because if you're going to sleep while you're listening to the meditations, it's actually, the information is actually coming into your energy fields, and your energy fields are getting it, and your energy fields are getting stronger. And as they get stronger, as your energy fields continue to get stronger and stronger, then you'll find that you'll have more awareness during the meditations, and you'll stay more awake. And the other part of the question was, can you listen to lots of them? Sure, you can. But if you're new, it's probably best to stick to maybe one because it is a lot of information that's coming in, and it does sometimes take some time to bring it all the way through to so that you're using it like in the physical realm, and then you'll be able to listen to more and more.
So, Astarah, is it sort of like you go into a gym and you could work out on 20 different machines, or you could just really work the biceps on the bicep curl?
Yeah, absolutely. You can just work that one machine for this. Yeah, one meditation is like one machine. You could do that meditation over and over and over and over again, and then move on to another one. And in fact, sometimes it is really beneficial to stick with just one.
Yeah. And Astarah, that's a really great insight. Does anybody else have any reflections on their own process? Because you all have been doing these protocols for years. Feel free to unmute yourselves.
I will just say that for myself, there are times where I go back to tall cups from years and years ago and listen again, and they're amazing and they resonate. So I think it's like I'll look and then one just calls to me and I listen and I think, oh my gosh, it's perfect for now. So in some ways, you're so wise more than you know, and what feels right to you, to your heart, what feels supportive is perfect for you.
Anyone else?
Yes. For me, Aleya, when I think about listening to a protocol over and over, first, I think the most important thing is like get connected inside, connect to my spark first, because it's not like at a mind level. And the more connected I'm inside, like you feel it more energetically. And it is like a muscle. And the more you build it, you feel that connection, your essence, your kindness, your beauty, your strength. So yeah, definitely getting connected inside first before you listen, because that's really important. Even if you gotta bring all your anchors and awareness back inside first.
That's so great. And I'd never thought about this analogy before, but it's like we don't really want to walk into the gym with heels and a dress, right? Like we want to put the shoes on, put your workout outfit on, and that would be like you pulling yourself into your line and getting super connected.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. I'm just getting a little intuitive nudge. Jenna, that piece around cervix health, would you be willing to grab that one?
For sure. Yeah, thanks. So outside of Aleya work, I am a licensed midwife. I've been working in birth for 17 years in different roles. And I share that also to say that what I'm going to say is not medical advice, but I am coming at it with, quite a bit of familiarity with the cervix. And the question was about HPV and just ways to, I think, support the body in clearing it out, because it definitely can be healed on its own. Most of the time, the body clears HPV on its own. And the energetic pieces that came through when I was pondering this question have to do with trust, trusting that healing, and like unwavering, knowing that other emotions can come in, and HPV sometimes can lead to more scary things. And so there may be a little bit of fear there. And the importance there is to let that wave wash over and not get too tumbled in it, not let it be a tidal wave, and just notice, I'm feeling fear about where this is going to go, or how this is going to go for my body. And I trust. And the soul rider can hold space for body deva in that healing process. One of the ways that can happen is a visualization. And what I do know clinically about the cervix is it's very vascular. So there's a lot of capillaries, and they can, not always, but oftentimes they're kind of in the shape of roots. And, it's like the center of our root chakra. And so a really beautiful way to support your healing process could be just a few moments or a long time, however flows and feels accessible for you, is spending some time visualizing a beautiful, complex visualization of roots, kind of going, down through your cervix, out your cervix, into earth, right? So really anchoring into that body connection with Mother Earth too, and knowing that when things like this are here to be healed, it is an opportunity for kind of almost like a composting type process. And so what can you give to Earth that will transform into some fertile soil for something else? One other big piece is an energetic, and truly it is a physiologic connection with the cervical area and the voice. And so just tuning in a little bit to, what are your communication patterns in life? Are there things that are asking to be cleared from your voice or spoken to, that would, again, support that kind of composting, healing type process?
Beautiful. That gently segues into music.
Now I was like, perfect, emotions. So there was a question about listening to music and that many emotions come up. And I do play the violin. So I was reflecting on music and emotions. And I think that with music, it does move energy within us. And so you can pay attention to what emotions do come up and to let them come up. And I was thinking about, there's so many different ways to feel emotions, to process emotions. One that I love for myself, and it also works really well with kids, because I work a lot with kids and teens, is to, and you may have heard this from Aleya, where you imagine a safe space. And that could be in a fairy world, it could be in your sacred temple, in some beautiful earth realm. And then imagine that you have a little tiny pool, and maybe your guides and advisors or your beings of love and light are encircling you. And then imagine filling that pool ankle deep. And you're filling it with the emotion that you're feeling. So if you're feeling grief or anger or whatever it is, you fill up the pool just ankle deep. And then you let yourself be in that emotion. You let yourself swim in or slosh in it or slash it and swirl. And I was thinking with the music, it would actually be really a cool practice to do that while you're listening to music, because the music may bring up emotions that you don't even know you have within you. And then you're imagining that you're in this safe little pool and you're sloshing and you're swimming with the music. And just notice how you feel. You might notice that you feel calmer. You might feel lighter. You can experiment for yourself and see what shifts you notice. So one wee piece on emotions and music.
Very cool. I'd never thought about, I mean, it makes absolute sense of like using the music to move the emotions. Just like when we've had grief, we want to listen to something that just moves it, or excitement or joy. So that's brilliant, Winslow.
I know. Well, and whoever asked that question, good. I hadn't also thought of bringing in the music with the imagination and energy fields.
And there was something that we didn't share with that question. They were talking about the Pachelbel canon, and it helps actually repattern the DNA. And when I was, I think I was like 15, and I was a photographer for a newspaper, and I would go into the dark room at like 10 o'clock at night, and I would stay in the dark room till 2 a.m, listening to Pachelbel canon over and over and over and over again for like 3 hours, 4 hours. And it does do this really profound DNA reset. So anytime we're in kind of like a stuck place at a vibrational level, Pachelbel starts to create this activation in your DNA. So it could be a really powerful practice for those of you that are called to that piece. Michelle, did you want to tie into that question about the nails? And then there was somebody else that had another question about self-esteem. So maybe after Michelle, Laurie, anybody that wants to tag into the self-esteem piece. Michelle, go for it.
Great. So that next piece around the nail biting, and that this has been happening for years, and what is another piece to that, or is it empathic? And I think that when something has been with us for a long time, there can be many threads there. And I think that when I looked at it, the empathic piece might be 10%. So it's a little bit there, but it's not a lot there. But yes, definitely work that, because that's a piece of it. But the majority of what I saw that it was related to is the body has been working, desiring to love herself for many lifetimes. Mm. And that this is her way this lifetime with the nail biting to get the soul rider's attention, to get herself's attention, to really work this piece of self-love. So part of that process could be to go back in time, to do your deep breaths, to clean that up, to activate those harmonic vibrations within those lifetimes, to really help that, bring that forward. So it would be easier for the body, David, to be doing that work in this lifetime. So if that's something that, you can do, then that would be, I would invite that part of it. And that then really being that conscious coach to the body, like really being kind and gentle, that when she starts to bite her nails, just say, "Oh, sweetheart, you're really wanting to love yourself more. Good job. You're bringing this to your attention. So, sweetheart, dear, what would you like to activate? What vibration in your divine line do you want to bring in more, more, more?" And just consciously coach her every single time to bring that vibration in deeper.
Beautiful, Michelle. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Laurie. We're unmuting you. There we are.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to speak a little bit to Cindy's question about the self-esteem. And what is coming in is more related to being comfortable in the unknown, like moving into that space that this isn't a problem. This is an opportunity. This is a calling to a deeper sense of that self-esteem, and possibly being with the aspect of yourself that is feeling so afraid, and attending. I like to think of attending to the self rather than feeling consumed by some of those feelings. So maybe if that resonates, playing with those two things of attending to that self and opening to becoming comfortable in the unknown.
What would be like a simple practice that somebody could do to do those?
The attending?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a wonderful process that I often like to work with called RAIN. And it is a way of allowing those feelings and speaking then, from your higher being, moving through that process. It's easy to find that on YouTube, or it will take you through a process of recognizing what's happening, of allowing it, saying, yes, you're allowed, you're here. And then moving into a place of, where is this in my body? What's happening with body deva? What's happening, where is this located? And asking, what is that part believing? What is that part believing could happen? Where is that fear? Oh my gosh, I could end up homeless. I could end up, on the side, whatever it is. And it's often surprising what it's unconscious belief that we are not really addressing. And so it comes out in this process of just allowing it to be. And then at the end, moving into how can I be with you? Whether we're talking to body deva, we're talking to an aspect of ourselves, but from our higher being, right? How do you need me to be with you, given how you're feeling? And then being able to move into that. And it's often a very lovely process. Sometimes it's just be with me and allow me to be afraid. Sometimes it's call on on a being, on an angel, on some being or animal that could be with us too. So yeah.
Laurie, that's beautiful. And as you were talking about it, I was watching the energy, and it's like the moment that we just connect with what is, it starts to go through that transformation. So it's like you're just being, as you were saying, with the fear, bringing awareness to it connects us. And the moment we go into that connected state with whatever is, then that transformation starts to happen. That's a really beautiful process.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any reflections, questions, other aspects that they wanted to speak to? Practitioners?
I think there was one about a broken heart. And did one of you, practitioners, I had one little piece, but I think one of you also had.
Winslow, why don't you dive into just the one little piece, and then if there's anybody else that wants to attend to the broken heart component.
The one little piece, it was about having a broken heart for a year and feeling like your energy is being drained. And so I was really thinking about energy being drained. And it feels like one possibility could be that you've left your treasure chest with that person. And so what would it be like to imagine and using your energy fields to retrieve your treasure chest, which has your creative current, your power, your gifts, your wisdom, mastery, and bringing it back to you. So that's one possibility with this piece. And anyone else have anything on that or no?
Jenna?
Yeah, I love that, Winslow. That is beautiful. And a piece that came up for me, the strong piece, was about timeline. And a broken heart for a year can feel like a long time and can feel significant. I definitely hear that yearning to like move through this and move on to the next piece. And just like that last piece we were talking about, like as soon as you settle into it or accept the piece and really claim like, wow, my heart is broken. My heart has been broken. Here I am. I'm still feeling it. It's that acceptance step then allows for the next piece. And so just really um, anchoring into your own divine timeline and knowing that there are no external timelines on healing. I lost a husband 8.5 years ago, and that is still a timeline of grief that will be there for the rest of my life. Yes, it changes and it will change. And there's a lot of societal pressure to like do things certain ways, but just in all sorts of ways, hyper productive. And my one of my masteries is like radical bucking of societal expectations. And so I wanted to just offer that with the timeline piece and to release and return any external timelines that might be influencing your healing path on this heartbreak and really like snuggle into your divine line and your divine wisdom of your timeline and know that healing is happening. Time does not stand still. That is one thing that you can anchor into and know for sure. And how it looks will vary, and it may not be exactly how you want, but it is how it is right now. And so radical acceptance, radical rejection of external timelines, and the snuggling into your own wisdom and healing and your own timeline.
Jenna, so wise. There was that one, like, I mean, so much of what you just said, and also Winslow, but there was one that just like, hit me in the heart, like made me weepy. It was that time does not stand still, and that you are in a process, whether you realize it or not.
Healing is inevitable. Like that has carried me through so many pieces, and it may not even be this lifetime, which might feel overwhelming and discouraging, but like that bigger picture is that our souls are doing this work. It is happening.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I do want to complete in just a few minutes, but because this is our first one, we're just going to hold space for one or two more reflections. Michelle had some insights on some tech challenges that somebody was having. Michelle, do you want me to read the question?
Well, I have it. Thank you. We appreciate that. So this person's been having technical issues for a while with different aspects of technology, phone and computer and various things. So when I was pondering this question, the first thing that came up, well, there were several layers. First layer is that there's been a lot of new information, so much information coming onto the planet that our electrical grids have gotten really big. Like, this has been happening for a long time, right? But that first piece is for this person to balance their electrical energy with their magnetic energy, so that their energy is like so electrical. And that's technology as well. But that part of the disconnect is that there needs to be a balance within their energy fields. So first, that person to expand their roots, their magnetics. Second would be that the technology, there's this disconnect between their electrical energy and the technology energy. And so there's this like they're trying to plug in together and they're not quite getting there. They're missing each other rather than going right in. So to invite the technology, each piece of that technology to communicate with your grids. So your electrical grids, their electrical, so kind of clean up the connection, the communication grids that you have with the technology, so that can be cleared up and that the plug-in can happen. So it's cleaning those electrical grids with the technology.
So would it be like if this were a phone, would it be the soul, the body, or just more the body to connect directly to the device?
Great. Yes. I see actually both soul and body, although a lot of body with technology because it's more crystalline structure and it's more in the physical realm. But our electrical grids are in other dimensions. They're so, it's not just the physical. So I think probably 60% body Deva doing that, 40% soul writer. So it's both soul and body, but a little bit more body to clean up that connection, communication grid between the technology and yourself.
Beautiful. Very cool. Very cool. So with all of these questions, there was one final one that I would love to just kind of round robin. And somebody was sharing that they're feeling like this is a very potent, auspicious time right now on the planet. And I would love to hear each one of your insights and just, kind of like a brief 30-second, 1 minute of what's going on right now in the world. Not the world physical 3D, but energetically. And just feel free to dive in, any of you that have your own insight of what we're experiencing. Astarah.
Thank you, Aleya. The first thing that comes when you ask that question is all of the activity that's coming from the sun. The sun has had so much activity, so many solar flares, and then, of course, the other thing that's happening too is there's a lot of extra activity in the astrological aspects. And it's like not just Earth, but all of the planets in this particular solar system. It's all of the planets are raising their vibrations. And as they're raising their vibrations, we're raising ours. And so everybody on the planet is having an experience of their vibration going up in a way that maybe they're aware of it and they know what to do, and maybe they are very challenged by it.
So would that be different depending, like for each individual, because of planetary alignments and astrological charts?
Yes, it would be different for every person. The part that's not different is that because, we're all sitting here on this planet and Earth is raising her vibration, we're being empathically impacted by Earth raising her vibration.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I'll go. For me, when I feel into that question, it feels like a lot of people are awakened more to themselves, and then they're maybe looking at it like and feeling that discordant energy, and then maybe looking around them and feeling other people's discordant energy and really empathically feeling it and like freaking out. Like, I don't know what to do with this. And maybe they don't have the tools. So it's like they're awakening to themselves, but they're also feeling the discordant energy going on inside them.
The image I just got was like somebody in a river raft and they're going down a river that has rapids and they wake up in a river raft and they're like, oh my God, and just like kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll riff off of that because it 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 makes me think of the oars. Like, do you have a handle on the oars and know how to use them or not? And I think it's a spectrum of experience based on, soul evolution and where people are at in their lives, what they're exposed to. This work feels like a handle on the oars, thankfully. And it, the word that came to my mind in response to the question in general definitely reflects my other career as a midwife, but the word is rebirth. It's spring where I am. We are still recovering from a natural disaster in this area, but like earth wise, there's like growth, and yet kind of these like scars of flooding are still there. And so there's all sorts of things happening that resonates with what Astarah was saying about the energetic shift of Earth, and we're all empathically feeling it. And so, where are your oars? And when do you go with the current? And when do you paddle a little bit? Like, it is a continuous navigation, and there's always choice, and there's always tools available. And sometimes those tools are to just dive in and go with the current.
Cool. Anyone else? Pilar?
The other thing is that this body that we are riding is from Earth. So this is how we are assisting Earth on her elevation. So paying attention to our bodies and going through these uncomfortable feelings is the work. It's just getting to be able to be a conscious coach for our bodies, and knowing that our souls know where we are going, that we are guided, that it's meant to be, that we incarnated with this purpose, and that we are assisting our bodies to be able to raise the vibration. And part is uncomfortable because we have to release a lot of things that are no longer serving us, and a lot of misconceptions, a lot of dust, to say the truth. We have to clean our energy fields, and that's uncomfortable. And for some people, it's like in a massive amount. And if we cultivate our practices, we can get more comfortable with this rapid movement of ascension. But we are guided, and we came with that purpose. So that's a beautiful thing we are doing for Earth too, to be incarnated. Yeah.
Thank you, Pilar. Anyone else? Pilar, there was something you said, like cleaning our fields, like cleaning our fields daily. That's so key. Michelle?
Yeah, I think, currently there's so much happening on the planet. We are in a big paradigm shift, right? This is the time we've come here to really support a big ascension, a big awakening, a big process for everyone on the planet to really be in a more of awareness state, so then we can start to shift our energy appropriately. Like, where do we need to clean up, our energy, clean our fields, like we just said, right? What needs to be cleaned? What do we need to be retrieving? Really starting to do that cleanup for ourselves, because the more that we do, the easier it becomes. It doesn't make it, easy on every aspect, but it makes the process so much more smooth. Kind of like, again, where do you ride with the current, or, do I actually, shift my fields in this moment, or do I just kind of go along and then shift them again? To recognize that this is part of the process. And the more that we clean our energies, the more then we can model that to everyone on the planet, and the easier this paradigm shift will be.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Michelle. We're going to take one more so that we can do a gentle wrap up for everybody. Laurie, would you like to share your insight?
I just love hearing what everybody has said. And just to add, the wonderful, amazing amount of support that we have, the light that's just streaming onto the planet, the frequencies that are different than they've ever been before. And sometimes that's rough on body, but it's all wonderful, and it's all moving us forward. And also the release of all the conditioning and all of the programming from forever, from so far back, and it's just bubbling up, and it's ready to go. And so this is just such an exciting time to be on the planet.
Beautiful. Laurie, thank you so much. And just to complete, and we'll do a gentle wrap up with sheets of rainbow light, but whenever you hear an insight from somebody, it sparks your own intuition, your own wisdom, your own knowing. And so take the pearls that resonated, dump what didn't, but more importantly, listen to what is your heart voice that got activated, listening to the heart voice of another. Thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you, practitioners, for your perseverance, your courage, your curiosity, your gentleness, your kindness, and to all of our listeners that have shared really beautiful questions that are helping us explore energy, what happens when you use your energetic fields to shift your consciousness. Taking a deep breath in, holding your energy and awareness in that inner river of light. Gently wrapping yourself in sheets of rainbow light, sealing these vibrations in to whatever degree is appropriate for your spiritual evolutionary state. Thank you all so much for joining us. Practitioners, feel free to say goodbye. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Hey, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you
See
so
you in a
much for
month
being
or six weeks.
Hi.
Thank you. Yeah, join
Thanks,
us again in 6
everyone.
weeks. 6 weeks. We're going to do it again. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Cups of Consciousness show with me, Aleya Dao. Receive a free month of the Cups of Consciousness. Go to 7cupsofconsciousness.com. When you get your free month, you will get 5 cups a week for 4 weeks. You'll also receive access to a live Tall Cup of Consciousness session. Feel free to review the show. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Aho.